Hey there, I am Ronin and I am 31 years old, and I own a digital marketing agency. I started this digital marketing agency with my best friend Dave around 9 years ago. Dave and I go way back. He and his family moved into our neighborhood when I was just 7, and we hit it off right away. We went to the same school, and we soon became best friends. We even went to the same college to study digital media and integrated marketing communications after high school. Dave has always been a tech whiz. And I, on the other hand, was neither good at sports nor good at studies, but I was good at other things. Dave knew the craft and I knew people. Dave was the tech guy and I knew how to do business. Dave is a genius. He developed his first website when he was in the 8th standard and he taught me all about it. At first, I wasn't very interested, but after a few years, during our freshman year in high school, Dave told me that he was earning money through his website. It was an educational blog and he had put up ads on his blogs. People clicking on those ads would lead to a commission for Dave. He told me this model is called PPC pay-per-click. Dave told me everything about it and I started doing the same. I wasn't a genius like Dave, so I couldn't write educational blogs, but I was into music. I started a blog targeting the music niche and voila. I started earning within my second year of running the blog. It wasn't as much as Dave's, but it was something. Now talking about our families, Dave's family has always been very supportive, especially his dad, John. John always knew that his son was a genius when it came to computers. On the other hand, my dad, Richard, was quite the opposite. My dad worked in a factory as a chemical engineer, and he always wanted me to study science. But it wasn't for me. I've always been an average student, so I never scored well. My dad knew that his son was not an academic genius and that disappointed him badly. I still remember back when I was in 8th standard and I went to tell my dad about how Dave had made his first website. I wanted to tell him that I too would make one, thinking that he'd be proud. But what happened was quite the opposite of what I had planned for. "Hey Dad, you know what? Dave just created his first website. He told me that it took him 4 months to build it. How awesome is that?" What's so awesome about creating a useless website? I can never understand your generation's fascination with this internet thing. Dad, it's a big deal. You have no idea how hard it is to build a website, and now Dave's going to teach me how to build one. I'll also build a website now. Let it be the hardest thing in the world to do, but what now? What good is that website? Will it get you money? Will it wash dishes? What happens now? Ronin, I don't know, Dad. See, you let that Dave kid do whatever he's doing. You focus on school and studies. I want good grades. I want you to study science. If not chemistry, take physics. You can be a scientist someday. Dad, I am not sure about that. I've never been able to understand science properly. Excuses. These are just excuses. You can do it, you're just too lazy to pull out a book from your bag and read what's written in it. I do read it, Dad, but I can't understand anything that's written. I listen to our teachers tell us about science, but all of it sounds like some made-up stuff or something. I don't understand it, Dad. Oh, what a shame. You've always been a disappointment. Look at your sister and learn something from her. Caroline always gets straight A's. And here you are, telling me you don't understand science. Science is beautiful, son. You just really need to look into it. You're just scared of all the hard work. It could be beautiful to you and Caroline, Dad, but not to me. I am not you. You watch your tone, young man. You've achieved nothing, so keep that arrogance of yours inside your little pocket. I am just ashamed of you. You're a disgrace. Maybe I am, Dad. Maybe I am. And I dashed off to my room crying. I thought for once he'd be proud to hear that I was willing to learn how to build a website, but I was wrong. I was so wrong. All my dad wanted was science. He wanted me and Caroline to either be a professional in medicine or pursue a career in science. Everything apart from that was a waste of time for him. He lived in his bubble, his world of make-believe. It was so frustrating. I still remember back then, I used to punch walls whenever my dad said mean things to me. I was punching the walls in anger when I heard a knock on the door. I yelled to ask who it was, and it was my mom, Susan. My mom has been way more kind to me than my dad, but she never dared to go against him. My mom never said anything to my dad. She would come later, when everything was said and done, to console me, and I can understand that now that she had no other choice. She was grinding between her husband and her son like a millstone. She couldn't go against my dad, but she couldn't leave me alone either. She always came to make me feel better when she heard the sound of me punching the walls. She would come and sit with me and tell me that my dad loved me. It's just that he had very high expectations from his son. That's the reason why he got upset so much. And the worst part is that all of this was true. My dad did have some very high expectations with me that I knew I would not be able to catch up to. That day, my mom and I had a deep mother-to-son conversation about this. "You've been punching the walls again, aren't you?" "I can't help it. It helps me vent." "I understand that, but there are better ways to vent out your anger. You can take deep breaths and it'll instantly make you feel better. These things don't work in the real world." "At least not for me, Mom. You know your father loves you, right?" "Doesn't feel like that. I can hardly remember the last time Dad and I talked to each other nicely. All he does is constantly remind me that I am an embarrassment to him." "Your dad is just strict. He wants you to do well in life. All the parents want to see their kids be successful. He just has a lot of expectations from you and Caroline." "But I am not like Dad or Caroline, Mom. I am not good at studies, and I know I'll never be as good as Dad wants me to be." "You can, Ronin. It's not like it's impossible to do. You just need to work hard." "I do, Mom. I do work hard. I work as hard as I can, but the best I can get is a B or a B+ in my best days. I feel like I am meant for something else. I just don't know what it is." "It's all right, sweetheart. You're just a kid. You have all the time in the world to figure these things out." "You should tell this to Dad." "You know I can't do that. But it'll get better, I am sure." "And you were saying something about Dave to your dad?" "It's nothing. He just made a website. That's it. It's not a big deal." "I don't know anything about this, but I am pretty sure it's something good. Dave is a good kid." "He is." "All right, sweetheart. I'll go downstairs now. I'll call you when the dinner's ready." "I don't feel like eating anything." "I knew you would say something like this. I'll leave a plate for you on the dining table so you can sneak into the kitchen at midnight like you always do." "You know about that." "Of course I do. We all do. You're the loudest little thief on the planet." "Ha. Mom, you always know how to make me laugh, even when I am crying." "Well, I am your mother. I know you better than anybody else." "Better than Dave?" "Shut up. I'll keep your dinner on the table." "All right, I love you, Mom." "I love you too, sweetheart." Mom and Dad were complete opposites of each other. Dad always looked like he was looking for someone to yell at, and on the other hand, Mom was always so gentle, even when she was angry. And as Mom had said, I did feel hungry in the middle of the night and I did sneak in, as quietly as I could this time, to have dinner. Time went by and Dave and I made it to senior year of high school. Dave was the nerd who used to get bullied and I was the strong friend who used to save him. Dave and I were like brothers. Everybody knew in the school that if they messed with Dave, they were messing with me. I also made it to the school football team and we won the regional trophy that year. My mom was happy to hear this, but to my dad, as always, it didn't matter. Dave and I graduated, and the only thing I knew was all of the things that Dave had told me about, like websites, blogs, and other things. So I decided that I would join the college with him to study digital media. We had our blogs running, and it occasionally brought in some cash. I decided that we could make better use of our blogs. I decided to contact businesses and tell them that we would market their business on our blogs. I also told them that our blog was visited by thousands of people every day. But the local businesses were not interested. However, the businesses that sold their products online could see that it could be a great way to market their products. Since my blog revolved around music, I contacted artists who were trying to make it big and told them that I would showcase their work on my website for thousands of people to see. It worked. It started bringing in good money. As for Dave, Dave was never really a person who would reach out to other people, all by himself. So I contacted businesses that sold their products online and got him a couple of clients. Since Dave's website had more visitors, his clients paid him more. That's actually how we started freelancing, which eventually led to us opening our digital marketing agency. As our blogs drove in more users and more traffic, we were earning from ads that we had put up and the clients that we were working with. We did this throughout our college. We knew we were heading in the right direction. After we graduated college, Dave and I decided to open up our digital marketing agency that would not just work on websites, but on social media platforms and e-commerce platforms. But we didn't know where to start, so we decided that we would join any small digital marketing agency that operated back then, learn how things work, how the revenue is brought in, and perform the same operations on a much bigger scale. We tried finding digital marketing agencies and we managed to find one. It was a small company that hardly had 10 employees. They needed people who were willing to work for a lesser paycheck, and we fit perfectly. We knew how things were done, but we had no tangible professional experience. They needed employees that would work for cheaper rates, and we needed a company that could teach us about how the commercial world works. It was a win-win for us as well as the company. Dave and I worked there for just 3 months, and then we quit. 3 months were more than enough to understand how they operated. We knew how to find clients, how to bring them on board, and what to charge them for our services now. And just like we had planned, we would do it on a bigger scale to bring in more money. But we still had one big problem. We didn't have enough money to start our agency. We had meetings with some of the investors, but they were not convinced that our business plan would work. They didn't think our plan was profitable, and back then, nobody realized the importance of marketing digitally. Dave and I both sold our cash cow blogging websites to raise funds for our company. We took some money from the bank as well, and now we had enough to start our business operation. We rented an office space, we hired people, and we started our digital marketing agency. It would be a blatant lie if I said that it was easy to sustain and grow our agency. We had so many close calls to shutting the company down, but we managed to keep it alive. It took us almost 2.5 years to reach the break-even point of the business. Our business started to grow, and we kept expanding our clientele, and we rented out new offices. 8 years later, we had at our disposal a very profitable digital marketing agency with clients from all over the country. We had 4 offices with more than 350 people working with us. Our agency had become huge. We were making good money. From small businesses that were just starting to big corporations, our client base grew huge. One day, I got a call from Caroline telling me that she was arranging a retirement party for Dad next month. Dad was finally retiring. During these 8 years, I went home probably for only 10 times, and Dad and I never saw eye to eye. Choosing a completely different career in business and choosing to overlook a career in science did make our relationship bitter. I called my mom and Caroline now and then, but I hardly ever called Dad. Dad didn't want to know about my business, and I didn't want to tell him. So when Caroline told me about the retirement party, I thought maybe this would be the start of the mending of our relationship. Dad would have more time for himself now, and he'd be able to see that his son has become a successful businessman now. But I still wasn't over the fact that my father had always looked down on me, thinking that I was useless and good for nothing. Even though I did want to meet Dad at his retirement party, I declined Caroline's invitation. She begged me to come, but I was too proud to admit my true feelings. Eventually, she quit and hung up the phone. After a few days, I got a call from John, Dave's dad. I respected John a lot. The way he used to treat his son Dave would always make me envy Dave's life. I always thought, why don't I have a relationship with my dad like this? John always treated me kindly. He treated me like his own son. From teaching me how to tie a tie in prom to watching football games with me, John did most of the things with me that I wanted to do with my dad. He was like a father figure to me. And in these 8 years, I called John more than I had called my own family. So when John called, it wasn't surprising to me. I picked up his call, and he was so happy to talk to me. "Hey kid." "Hey John, how have you been? I am talking to you after such a long time." "I know, right? I am good. What about you? How are you?" "I am good. I am good. How's your knee? Still hurts sometimes. It'll take some time to heal. I told you to not go on that hike. You're getting way too old for these things, old man. Bet I could still beat you in a one-on-one 100-meter sprint race." "You wish." All right, maybe you're right. I shouldn't have gone on that hike." "It's all right, John. We'll go fishing when I come back. We'll just sit in the front of the lake and drink some beers. We never catch any fish anyway." "Sounds like a plan. How's Dave?" "You haven't called him. You always call him before you call me." "I wanted to talk to you today." "What's up? Is everything all right?" "Yeah, everything's fine. Don't worry. I just got a call from Caroline. She told me that you're not coming to your father's retirement party." That Caroline. She can never keep her mouth shut. I thank the Lord that she didn't. "Ronin, listen to me. I know things have not been perfect between Richard and you, but he's your dad, and he's retiring now. Do you know what it means? That he's grown old and can't work anymore? Yes, that too. But it's more than that. When a father retires, it means that he has willingly chosen to transfer the responsibility of taking care of the family to his son. From now on, you'll have to be the one to help your family when they need you. I am not saying that you'll have to take care of them every day, but you'll be the first one your family calls from now on, whenever they're in trouble, and not your dad. He has finally decided to hand over the crown. And on a day like this, the son must be present. John, how do you come up with all of this? I just saw it on a post on Instagram. You're on Instagram? Of course I am on Instagram. I am old, not ancient. But anyway, the point is that it's an important day for your dad. It'll mean the world to him if you come. And I am not joking this time. John, I don't know about this. He's growing old, Ronin, just like me. 2 years ago, when you and Dave came to my retirement party, it made me so happy. I am sure the same will happen to your dad when he sees his son at his retirement party. All right, John, I'll come. I'll also bring Dave along with me. Oh, don't worry about that. Caroline called Dave before she called you and he told her that he's coming. Wait, did she call Dave before me? Caroline, you little. All right, bye, kid. See you at your old man's retirement party. John had convinced me now to come to the party. And to be honest, I did want to come to the party. It was just my pride that was getting in the way. 1 month later, Dave and I went back home, but we didn't go back to our house. We decided to stay in the hotel. Caroline didn't know that I was coming, and I wanted her to think that till the last minute. I had to get back at her for calling Dave before me. Dave and I brought our most expensive and luxurious cars. We wanted my dad to know that we did make it big. Then came the day of the retirement party, and a lot of things changed that day. Dave and I both got into our respective cars, and our drivers took us to the venue. Caroline had booked a fancy restaurant for the party, and John had already sent us the pin. We got to the venue, and we told our drivers to park our cars. We entered the venue, and the first one to see me was Caroline. I could tell by her face that she was happy to see me. I hugged her, and we started talking. In the meanwhile, Dave went to meet his parents. As I was talking to Caroline, I felt someone put a hand on my shoulder. I turned around and it was Dad. I looked at him and I went ahead to hug him, but he stopped me. I looked at his face and he didn't look happy. He grabbed my hand and walked me outside the venue. Caroline came out with us. What are you doing, Dad? Where are you taking me? Who called you here? I did, Dad. Why did you call him here? Because I am your son. Am I not invited here? To your retirement party? Do you want me to leave? Yes, leave. I don't want people to know that my son is a failure. A failure? Dad, do you even know what I do? I don't want to know. You see all the people inside. They're the ones who work with me. Some of them are engineers, some of them are doctors, and some are scientists. And here you stand. You don't deserve to be here at all. You're a disgrace. These people would laugh at me if I told them you're my son. But I came here for you, Dad. I wanted to meet you. I wanted to be here with you on your special day. I know this day is special to you and I just want to be a part of it. Dad, please. It's not his fault. I called him and invited him. He's your son. Not another word, Caroline. I don't want this man in here. Get out of here, now. But Dad, can't you hear what I am saying? Get out. Right now. Hey, what's happening? What's wrong with you, Richard? He's your son. He has to be here. And I am the one who convinced him to come. So don't yell at him, yell at me. It's not his fault. I thought you'd feel happy to see your son. But you're just too proud of yourself and your profession. Your profession or your professional friends won't be with you when you grow old and need someone to take care of you. And your son is a very successful businessman. He earns way more than you could ever. John, it's all right. He doesn't want me here, so I'll just go. But Ronin, I am okay. Trust me, I am fine. If my dad doesn't want me here, I'll just go. I'll just call my driver and tell him to bring the car here, and then I'll go. I called my driver and told him to come outside the venue. The way Dad yelled at me had caught everyone's attention. All of the people who were present there had come out to see what was going on. All of them saw how my dad had just kicked me out of his retirement party and called me a disgrace. After a few minutes, my driver came up to me, driving my car, and as soon as everyone saw my car, they all gasped. They were stunned to see that I owned such an expensive car, and let me tell you, it is quite expensive. It did cost me a part of my fortune. It impressed everyone but not my dad. He was never really a materialistic man. He wasn't impressed at all. My driver got out of the car and opened the door for me. As I was stepping in, I heard someone say, "Stop." I turned around and it was Carl. Carl was one of the clients we had. I was surprised to see him at my dad's retirement party, and so was he. "Wait, Ronin." "Wait, Carl. Is that you?" "What? What are you doing here?" "Wait, let me catch my breath. I saw you leaving and I came here running to meet you." "Easy, Carl. Breath. I am all right. I am all right. What are you doing here?" "I am here for Richard's retirement party." "Wait, how do you know my dad?" "Your dad? How do you guys know each other?" "How do you know him, Dad?" "Well, I used to work for him. He was my boss." "Your boss?" "Richard, you never told me you were Ronin's dad. You don't know your son's a pretty big deal out there." "Big deal?" "Yeah, quite a big deal. How do you think our sales boosted suddenly within the last 2 years? It's all because of Ronin's company." "What?" "Yeah, there was a sudden boost in the overall sales after we hired Ronin's agency to market our products. You did a great job, Ronin. You should be proud of your son, Richard. He is one of the smartest marketing strategists I have ever met. And where's that little genius, Dave?" "Oh, he's standing right there." "Wait, so you're saying the boost in sales and revenue for our company is all because of my son, Ronin, here?" "Yes, Richard. Your son is a magician." "I don't believe it." "I may not be an engineer or a scientist, Dad, but I am pretty good at my job, and in case you don't know, I am also a pretty successful businessman, and there's nothing wrong with it." Wait, I didn't know any of this, son. I am sorry that I yelled at you in front of all of these people. It's too late, Dad. I came here for you, as your son, and nothing else. But that wasn't enough for you. Wait, Ronin, I didn't know anything about all of this. Why does it matter, Dad? Why does it matter if I am successful or not? If I am a big businessman or not? I am your son, and that should have been enough for you to hug me and welcome me to your retirement party. I don't want to stay here any longer. Please, Ronin. I am sorry, please. Dave, I am leaving. You can stay here if you want to. Nah. Dave and I are leaving with you, and I'll be riding in your car. I looked around to find my mom in the crowd, and there she was. Mom was standing in the crowd with tears in her eyes. She wanted to come with me, but I just nodded at her, and she understood what I wanted to say. I wanted her to stay with Dad. I didn't want everyone to leave Dad's party with me. She nodded back at me. Dave, John, and I left the party, and we went to Dave's house. Dave's mom didn't go to the party because she never liked going to any of the parties. We went to Dave's home, and as soon as she saw me and Dave, she hugged us. She made us some delicious food, and John offered us some beer. I spent the night at Dave's house, and it was the first time in so many years that I felt like I was at home. It has nearly been a year since then. My dad still calls me multiple times a month and asks me to forgive him. I always tell him that I am not angry with him, but I can't just forgive him so easily as well. Or maybe I'll never be able to forgive him, but he'll always be my dad. I'll be there for him if he needs me. But the way I needed a father like John, and my dad was never there, it'll probably be just like that. He'll always have his son by his side, but not in the most loving way, like he would want. And as for my mom, she deserves the world. She has been so loving and so kind to me. Sometimes Dad tells Mom to talk to me about forgiving him. But just as my mom didn't interfere when Dad yelled at me back when I was a kid, she doesn't interfere now. Which is kind of fair, you know. Looking back at all of this now just makes me realize how lucky I am that I listened to my heart and chose to do what I wanted to do. Dave and I are quite successful now, and we have the resources to make the lives of our loved ones better now. And I sure feel happy that I didn't do what my father wanted me to do. I would have been living pretty miserably if I was doing something that I neither knew how to do nor that I wanted to do. It just feels so surreal to know how the tables have turned. The father who was ashamed of his son was now begging his son to forgive him. I might forgive him, I might not, but it sure is going to take some time to heal the bonds that went through years of damage.